Have you been having problems exporting your videos using the Adobe Media Encoder with the SLOG3 color profile? In this video, I'm going to show you that Adobe Media Encoder has been fixed and you will be able to export your SLOG3 color profile footage with no problems anymore. Let's get into it. So a little bit of background on this particular subject and issue is that a couple months ago I did a video that every time I used SLOG3, Gamut3 Cine in Premiere Pro and I ported it over to Media Encoder to export, for some reason it always had this issue, this blue tint around it. If you want to check out the video and see what I'm talking about, I'll link it up above. But recently I've been working in Premiere Pro for some client projects and it looks like every SLOG3 footage that I have been using has been ported over to Media Encoder and exported just fine. So I'm gonna go through this, show you that it's been fixed, and hopefully you and myself can start using SLOG3 footage again in Premiere Pro and be able to export it using Media Encoder, whether that's a lot of projects or a lot of timelines that you're doing for social media shorts or things like that, or if you just prefer Media Encoder to do the exporting versus Premiere Pro. So let's get into it right now. I've got my desk set up here. All right, so I've got my setup here, just a couple of things in this Premiere Pro project. Now this is just a simple project that I put together for this. I took some 60 frames per second SLOG3 Gamut3 Cine in Cine EI from the Sony FX3, and just a quick dinner shot of tacos that I was making the other day. So nothing too crazy here. Yeah, looks like the sound's still on it too. But I'm gonna go ahead and export this right now with nothing else on it. So all three of these I'm gonna go ahead and turn off to make sure that nothing else is going on. As you can see here, it is still in its flat profile, its SLOG3 profile. So let's go ahead and export this using Media Encoder. We'll do base SLOG3. Now I was having this issue, I thought it was on 4K, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it all, export all in 4K. It's only about 15 seconds long. And I was having it in variable bit rate, so I'm just gonna drop this down to like 35. Effects I'm gonna turn off to make sure that there's no gamma correction LUT on there. And everything else is just fine. Send it over to Media Encoder. All right, so we've got it here in Media Encoder. All right, so let's go ahead and stack these, start to stack these here. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and add in the correction LUT. All right, so I added in my Rec 709 transform. For this one, I'm gonna be using Matty Kapuya's SLOG3 Gamut3 Cine Rec 709 transform. I think previously I was using the Phantom Neutral LUTs from Joel Familaro. I think that's what it was. Sorry, Joel, if I got your last name wrong. So we're gonna start with this and then export this one out. We'll do SLOG3 else, send that over to Media Encoder, and just to make sure, and then let's go ahead and, like I said, start stacking these on. So color correction, we'll go ahead and reset that. This one, we'll do it there. So I kind of already did the color correction on that first adjustment layer, so we'll go ahead and add the grade on this, and we'll just have those three different versions. So we'll have the base, we'll have the Rec 709 with the color correction, and then we'll also have the color grade on it, just to see if any of these start to mess with the porting over from Premiere Pro over to Media Encoder, and for some reason Media Encoder not getting all the data that it needs to actually export it properly the way it looks here on my screen. All right, so we'll go ahead and add on the color grade. So we have the transform, we have the color correction, just setting the white balance a little bit. Let me just see. So we've got the color correction here, and then now the color grade, which I am going to probably use Matty Kapuya's teal and orange, drop it down, maybe 50. Yeah, let's do 40. Put the grade on that, and then let's go ahead and export that. SLOG3, transform, and grade. Send that over to Media Encoder. I'll bring up Media Encoder here, and then we'll go ahead and export all three of these. And most likely it's gonna take just maybe like a minute or two, but I'll go ahead and speed this up for you. As you can see here, I took care of the boxes from my last video, if you saw that. Still doing quite a bit of wrapping here. That's why we got all of that stuff there. And then I actually recently set up my bookshelf. I got 2 bookshelves back there, but recently set that up. But so the office build out is going pretty good so far. We are almost done here. And like I said before, I'm gonna go ahead and set all of these up together and just to take a look to see if any of them have that blue tint coming through. No matter the transform, the grade, whatever the case may have been, it just wasn't coming over and it wasn't being exported properly and it didn't look correct because it had this blue tint on it. All right, for some reason that took longer than expected, but as you can see here, everything was exported through Media Encoder. So we've got the base SLOG3, no blue tint. So it actually, it came over properly. Once I did this one is the transform here with the color correction. So this, no blue tint. And now this with the color transform and the grade, no blue tint. So as you can see here, I think Adobe Media Encoder fixed the issue with SLOG3. Now, after I made that video, I had sent a message over to Adobe about this issue. So we went back and forth a couple of times. They couldn't figure out exactly what it was, but hopefully that brought up some information or brought up a kind of a red flag for them to actually take a look into this issue because, and I'm not taking credit for the fix or anything like that, but I'm just saying that if I was having this issue, potentially other people were having this issue, so it wasn't the first time that they may have heard this, but they just wanted to recreate it, and I think that's where some of our communication kind of fell through. But it looks like with the port from Premiere Pro to Media Encoder and then exporting out, exporting out SLOG3, just nothing on it, and then everything else that you might want to add to it, like your transform or your grade, it comes over just fine, finally, which is really nice. Now I can actually use SLOG3 in Premiere Pro and actually use it. I guess that's my point. Like before, I just couldn't even use it because I couldn't. And now it did work if you just exported everything via Premiere Pro, but once you do that, you can't do anything else in Premiere Pro. And that's why, for me personally, a lot of my client work is actually social media reels, verticals, very short stuff that I can all do in Premiere Pro in different timelines, and then I just port all of those over to Media Encoder and I just run it while I go do something else. That's the issue, is that I want to use Media Encoder, but if I can't use that with SLOG3 footage, then that's a problem. So I was actually using Final Cut Pro in the interim, basically. But I'm super glad about this. I think Premiere Pro has the best vertical video workflow. If you want to see my workflow on that, go and let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, you guys can start using SLOG3 footage from your Sony cameras and porting them over and exporting them through Media Encoder. So we got a good fix on that, which I'm super proud about and super happy about. So, all right, guys, if you like this video, drop a like. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.